showing up this morning. Greatly appreciate it. In the back there you find meeting agendas, minutes from last year's meeting, AirBow statement, let's see what else, probably a financial statement as well. If you care to pick those up, there's water in the back. And if you don't have a ticket for the raffle, raise your hand and Jerry will take that to you. Bow hunting practices support other archery organizations that do the same. Bring together those interested in traditional archery equipment and skills, and to ensure the continuation of the traditions and skills passed down by our traditional archery forefathers. And that's why we're all here today. So, our secretary is absent, so
for Ropa High School got those bows, as Greg mentioned. Also, Jim Frank got some bows from me yesterday for a program he's doing down in his area, but that's not very much. Throughout the year at Isaac Walton, where we have our archery program most of the time, I hand out, and a lot of these bows that I hand out aren't WTA bows. They might be, but most of them are my bows. And then they end up coming back to me, and then they get a big bow as a youth, okay? So more and more people should get a hold of me if you need bows. Now, Gary's got his family working on putting knock sets on every bow that looks like about 1 million bows over there, okay? A lot of bows. So if somebody needs a bow today for a youngster, or even a bigger youngster, okay? There's lots of bows there that they can get started with. They're all over by the archery range. So if you're looking for something, come over and look at them and see what you can do. I understand a lot of youngsters are going to get bows tonight at the banquet as well. So, any questions? Okay, the second part of this is, if anybody is interested in taking this over at all, I don't necessarily want to get rid of it, but my reason for bringing it up is that I'm just an equipment guy. The program was started by Russ Johnson, and Russ Johnson wanted to have shoots, youth shoots, and things like that. So if somebody's interested in doing more than what I'm doing, just say so, okay? Because there's a need there, but I already have my programs already worked out throughout the year already. I don't want to get any more. Okay? Any questions? Thank you.
256 for dinner pre-registered. That's pre-registers, that's not the latecomers that always show up the day of. So that is our largest attendance ever. Combination of a really well-known speaker, 25th anniversary, and possibly a location change. Not sure on that aspect, but that's a lot of people. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming. A couple things that we're doing a little bit different this year. We started it last year. Is the couple raffles that we do during dinner. We will not be walking around with tickets for those. We started this last year. We're selling them all day during the vendor hall, and we'll have a table set up in the dinner area, so you can walk over and buy your tickets ahead of time. Last year, I think we sold maybe 10 tickets total during dinner. It just makes it a lot easier, so we don't have to have groups of people and handling money and all that good stuff. So that works out pretty well for us. Also, if you're registered today and you didn't get asked to sign up for a table, we are having to sign up for tables to help eliminate people trying to mark their territory in the dinner area. So sign up for your table. Make sure you do that. As Tony was talking about with youth bows, Mike is the master of the deal and scouting for these things. If anybody has a nephew, niece, neighbor at all that needs a bow, or do you think they'd like a bow, come go see Tony down at the shooting range there. We'll send them home with a bow. And any kids that don't have a bow by the time the dinner time comes, they're getting another bow. So we want to put bows in kids' hands. That's the best way to how get people shooting. So. Okay. As far as vendors, Thank you very much for coming, for your donations and sponsors. Thank you very much for everything that you do for us. The clubs that sponsor us, there's 5 consistent clubs, and we are very appreciative of that. The games and raffles don't just take WTA bucks. We're open to cash. They won't take cash. A couple people have asked, is there a charge to come in to the event area? No, there's not a charge. If you have people that want to come in, come talk with people, come see the vendors. The only charge is if you want to play enter a raffle. There's no charge. We do that on purpose, so we get people in. So again, thanks to Tony for doing a lot of local advertising. We have a dignitary coming this afternoon. The mayor of Stevens Point is going to come in with his wife and take a walk around. We'll see if we can convince him to stay for dinner, but we'll see what happens there. So thank you very much for getting your stuff in on time. It's very, very helpful instead of scrambling at the last minute. So any initial questions?
No place where you can check to get cash discount?
We do not have a check cashing portion. We will take checks though for single items like silent auction or live auction items.
Is there an ATM somewhere?
I believe there's an ATM in the lobby someplace, if I recall correctly.
I think it was out of service.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure there's an ATM somewhere close. Maybe near the restaurant. I'm not certain on that. So, quick raise of hands. What do you think of the facility so far? Good? All right. We made a switch. We lost our date in Milton. So we switched venues back up to Stevens Point. So here we are. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. Been so far so good. And the hotel staff here has been very, very accommodating, very, very easy to work with so far. So any questions?
Bring it to mainly Gary's attention. I was at a local archery shop in the Rapids here a while back, doing a purchase, not a compound bow, by the way. And one of the gentlemen at work there, we got talking about traditional archery, of course. I can't keep my mouth shut about it. So, in our conversation, it turns out that I believe he works for Outdoor Wisconsin. And in that conversation, I was talking about our bow jam and the WTA and what we do and the things we do. And he has suggested that he wants to know if they could come and film something down at Ojibwe this year. And I just think that would be an awesome, get it out there and get it on TV about what we do and things like that. So I'd like to talk to Gary and anybody from Ojibwe who's handling that. If that's a good idea and you guys want to do it, I'll be the contact and get that going for us if you want.
Yep, fair.
Thank you.
Pardon? Harry's up for it.
I go through them a lot of times just to narrow it down to the ones we get. So
Yeah, I'll probably look at them 5-6 times before I select 3.
So yeah, maybe not like you said, 500 today isn't a lot, but if we could give a couple more, maybe that would be.
Okay, John's got his hand up.
I'd make a motion to go to, like either 5 or 6, whatever George and Brian suggest, whatever that number is.
Okay, put a number. Oh, Chuck said he would second 5. Okay, motion is for up to 5 $500 scholarships made by John Erdman, seconded by Chuck Mataska. Okay, any further discussion on this? Brian?
Just as a side note, I'm also involved in the scholarship for Wisconsin Bowhunters Association and the museum. And we take some of those same candidates also apply for those scholarships as well. And we tend to pick people that haven't received a WTA scholarship for those other scholarships. So that's just a side note for your information.
How many WTA scholarships are
Just one.
One? How many applicants?
And museum is just one as well.
Okay.
What's the value on that WPA?
They're 500 as well.
The recipients don't get us confused, do they?
Okay, we have a motion by John for up to five $500 scholarships. Second by Chuck Mataska. Any further discussion? Okay, no further discussion? All right, we're going to have to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
How much a membership, a one-year membership costs the club?
I'm sorry, wondering what?
What is the cost for a one-year membership to the club?
What our expense is. Just put it on.
Push it up till light turns green.
Yeah.
I've got it. I think I do. Just gotta hold it next to your mouth.
Yeah, okay, that's better. I was at a banquet earlier that they had tickets that you filled out when you came into the banquet. And it's got a number on it. And they had you, when they sold raffle tickets, you put that number, one, 2, or 3-digit number, so it's real easy to read off. It takes less time to read off the numbers. You can remember the numbers, you put them on all the raffle tickets you get, and then it makes it simpler at the end when you're giving out the prizes. You're not going to have prizes that are not picked up.
Right, okay, I understand.
The only thing that comes up is it's more work for the people buying the raffle tickets, because they have to put the number on. However, reading off the numbers, that's much simpler. Just everything to do with it is simpler. The only thing that the club has to do is have tickets made out.
Okay, all right, yeah.
We can certainly evaluate that. One thing is because we're open to the public,
Yeah.
and you'd have to send them to table register. But we can certainly evaluate it.
You have to what?
We'd have to have somebody registered and to assign the number and things. We can certainly evaluate it.
You just get so many tickets made out.
Yep,
More than you know that you're going to need,
right.
and then you've got the numbers, and it's simpler at the end of the raffle.
Yeah, we can certainly take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and there was some discussion, we're gonna have a meeting, and that got kind of tabled, but anyway, that's in our future, so. The WTA board felt that it was good to kind of just get out ahead of this a little bit and have our own position on this. Has everybody had a chance to review that? I had copies back there. I'll just read it here. This is what, as a board, did a lot of back and forth, and this is kind of the version that we have settled on. Anyway, it is the position of Wisconsin traditional archers that the Crosman Pioneer AirBow and similar weapons are not bows, does not involve archery, and should not be allowed during Wisconsin archery deer hunting season. The very definition of archery equipment involves a string that is attached to the working limbs of a bow, which propels an arrow when the string is drawn and released. The use of an arrow in a shoulder-fired compressed air device does not make it archery equipment. It is simply a gun using an alternate projectile. Bow hunters enjoy a long season in Wisconsin because they hunt with relatively primitive weapons, allowing maximum hunter participation with relatively minimal impact on the deer herd. Technology like AirBows, if allowed during the archery season, threaten to increase success rates, which could result in a shortened season or limited tags. Crossbows are permitted during the archery season. Crossbows were permitted during the archery season just 2 years ago, and already the success rate of crossbow hunters exceeds that of gun deer hunters. That's percentage-wise. AirBow proponents claim capabilities far beyond even those of the crossbow. AirBows are lightweight, shoulder-fired weapons that do not use strings or limbs to propel the arrow as with standard archery equipment. It gives the operator a considerable advantage over hunters using archery equipment, and furthermore, these weapons should not be allowed during the archery season. That's the statement that we kind of agreed on as a board. Something jumped out at me here in the second paragraph. Crossbows were permitted during the archery season. I guess technically that's not correct. They were permitted their own season. During. Oh, okay, we're permitted. Okay, I get. Okay, I'm okay with that. But anyway, that's the statement we have, and we haven't formally approved it. As far as membership, this would be the place to do that. I'm sorry, I'm running it.
I'm Jack.
Jack,
I've got
okay.
a question on why the second line in the second paragraph states that the hunter participation has relatively minimal effect on deer. When you read numbers, the number of archery deer is considerable. I don't think it's a minimal impact. I just think that opens the whole three paragraphs question.
What's the amount of participants?
It's basically based on the length of the season and the number of days of field. You're having a relatively low impact based on the amount of time you're allowed.
Well, I've had terribly low impact on a deer lately, but I just think that last half of that sentence from the word "with" should be deleted. You know, allowing maximum hunter participation, and don't say anything about the impact, because when you take what was the number of archery deer this year, that's not a low impact statewide and over the whole season.
Maybe a better way to handle that, Greg,
Yeah.
would be to simply change the beginning of that sentence rather than, because we're making a statement from Wisconsin traditional archers, and maybe just say traditional bow hunters of Wisconsin enjoy a long season. They're hunting with relatively, because we're making a statement from us. It's our statement. And so,
I agree with that.
Okay, how would that be worked? How would it
well,
work?
just instead of saying bow hunters, which puts a overall around all bow hunters, and you're just changing that statement to traditional bow hunters enjoy a long season in Wisconsin because they hunt relatively primitive.
Okay, I see. You just want to add the word traditional to the first paragraph.
Sentence, yes.
I don't know if we can go down the road of changing word for word based on the 50 opinions we're going to have on grades. I mean, that we'll be here all day, changing words. I don't, we drafted this statement, basically, we don't want to alienate ourselves from the compound users. Right now we don't have an issue, our length of season has been where it is for a long time. If we start nitpicking and splitting hairs between us and the guys that shoot compounds, suddenly our influence is only 500 members and not all the regular, let's call them, standard bows. I get the point, that we're using traditional. We're kind of taking on that as ourselves to challenge ourselves, and that's our thing. But we start separating ourselves from the compound guys, I'm worried we lose our influence.
Okay, along that line, you're also including yourself with the crossbow hunters.
Yes.
Right.
I know a lot of guys that call themselves bow hunters, but they hunt with a crossbow.
So we are pointing out the success rate of the crossbow and putting that in there as it doesn't really say it, but it infers a similar weapon.
I don't think you can use inferences if this is going to be a public statement.
Maybe we should say traditional and compound. Make that leave.
I'll shut up, Greg, and you can just leave it the way it is, let the board decide.
No, that's fine.
Right?
Howard, when you would accomplish the thing that you want to by just limiting it to the first paragraph. You're not going to irritate, for lack of a better word, any of the other type of hunters, and you're taking a position regarding the AirBow.
Okay, Howard suggests that we just use the first paragraph, is that correct?
That's correct.
Only the first
I
paragraph.
think you guys did an excellent job in wording that particular paragraph and the position of this organization. You don't have to give that up, those other facts.
Simply a non-using alternative projectile, so it says it all right there.
Okay, you certainly make a very good point there. Okay, Jim?
I personally like the way it's written, and I think it's very written very well, actually. And I think it does prove a point where you added the crossbows in there, where if we get this published in, say, Wisconsin Outdoor News, we'll bring gun hunters to our side when they realize that crossbow hunters are now shooting more deer than they are. Proportionately. And I think that it's written very well that way. I think to get them to come over to archery, the way it's written is excellent.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Ron?
Yeah, Greg, first of all, I like all the wording, and I like the statement, and I'd like to see more statements like this made, but my question is, are we in line with our Constitution as a fraternal organization? We tried to stay out of politics before. I'm not against this. I mean, I'd like to see this and even more statements that we come out and be more clear on who we are. We stand for something or nothing at all. And are we okay with that?
Okay, well, we're certainly entitled to our opinion.
It's a
And what we
political
do with
statement.
that opinion, that's where you might be crossing the line.
Yeah.
But if somebody asks and say, hey, what do you guys think? There's our statement. Or if we put it out, and actually Dean Bortz is on our email list, and when I sent this out to the board, or to membership, he got it, and wrote a story on this once we have something that, Ron?
Do you think maybe maybe we should look at our Constitution and maybe we should amend that and be a little bit more vocal? I mean, I enjoy our high membership, and I certainly don't want to start any controversy that starts, splitting membership and all of that type of thing. But I really do think we really should step out a little bit and be a little bit more vocal and be out there and just so people know we're there and we have a voice. And this is archery. This represents bow hunting, not this.
Okay, yeah, I understand. That would be a change of the bylaws, and I could send you a copy of the bylaws. Anybody who wants a copy of the bylaws, I can send that out. And that would something we'd have to take very seriously, because that would change the focus of this organization. But I think just having a statement is something we're certainly entitled to our opinion, as I said.
I'd have to go back and look at the bylaws to be sure, but I don't think we'd be going against our bylaws. What we'd be doing is putting in jeopardy our tax exemption if we start lobbying and that sort of thing, because we're not a lobbying organization. But in terms of taking a position, as Greg said, it's our position. It depends then on how forcefully we promote it. And I don't think we need to change anything. That is something that that could put our tax exemption in jeopardy. Maybe we want to take that chance. Maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, right now we have a position on baiting right on our website.
Right.
And I think this is very similar to that. It's a position on the membership, or our view on this specific issue. Because I don't think as long as you're not contacting the legislature and trying to push certain things, you put a position out there, here's how we feel.
Right. And I think the other thing this does is that as an organization, the board, it's one thing for the board to go out and lobby actively on this position. But even if we don't do that, and we're not suggesting that, what it does do is it gives all of you an opportunity to say, when you're dealing with your representative, your assembly person, or your senator, to say, I'm a member of WTA, here's the WTA position, this is what I'm saying as a member of WTA. And so you have that, and so we have, it's far more effective for 200 or 300 of the members to contact their representatives here in the Wisconsin legislature and say, here's our position, than it is for members of the legislature to hear from an executive board of some organization. It counts much more when you as individual people do it. And part of our thinking was that if we take a position, then it's available for our members, it's well thought out, and it represents the organization. So it's to help facilitate all of those contacts.
Okay. Brian Taggart has had a previously. Brian, something you want to add to this?
I agree with your comments. I think less is better. I think the first paragraph stands alone by itself, to me, would be sufficient.
Okay, Brian Testa?
If you felt that you wanted to continue with the second paragraph, I also agree with putting the word traditional in front of both. I'm not concerned with who I think I'll align myself with or not. I'm a traditional bow hunter. I'm willing to step out, and if you wanted to use the second paragraph, I would agree with the word traditional going in front of the word bow in the second paragraph. But I think the first paragraph is enough.
Okay, Brian?
Overall, I think the board did a really good job of putting it together. You could pick individual, words or sentences, but overall, I applaud the board for the job they did in putting that together. And I'd like to make a motion that we adopt and approve it as presented.
Second that.
Okay, I'm sorry, your name?
Steve Payne.
Steve? Okay. Okay, Brian made a motion that we adopt the full statement.
Yes.
Brian Testman made a motion that we adopt the full statement as our position on the AirBow. We've had some discussion, but this is still open for discussion. Any further in the back?
I tend to agree with using the whole document. It's a great document, but the first paragraph is more of a position statement. The rest of it's supporting documentation, which would be in an editorial or in a stump shooter or a brochure. Your statement of a crossbow is killing more deer than rifle hunters on a percentage basis. Will that be true every single year? It's not a concrete, or you can revisit this every year and switch it. So I think your statement on the crossbow is the first paragraph. That's going to be permanent fixture. A lot of other things in there are facts. You have to revisit and adjust it accordingly depending on statistics. It's more something to be write up for an outdoor journal or a supporting documentation, brochures if you wanted. That's how I would interpret it.
Okay, so you're saying that you're looking at the second, third paragraphs are more just reinforcing the first with opinion or not necessarily opinion, it's just reinforcing.
And to the point that you need to, this is in such and such year that we had these stats and references, that'd be an excellent supporting document in the stump shooter for us to have at our disposal.
Okay.
It would actually be a stand for time as a permanent statement. It's not easy fluid in that sense.
Okay, yeah, it could be dated in the future. Anybody else? Mike?
Just a couple of things for your consideration.
You don't want to nitpick, but I do have, when you read that, it says that do not use strings or limbs. Is the crossbow people going to come around and say, hey, we just use strings and limbs? you know, want to be included in with our season then or something? Are we opening the door there? I know it's nitpicking, but
Yeah, I know.
I don't
It's
trust
kind of
them people.
taking a tangent there. Well, that's something you can consider when you vote on this. So Paul, you got a comment? No? Okay.
No, I was, yeah.
Steve?
Trivial, and it doesn't affect as far as the vote. I wholeheartedly agree with this whole thing. I think it's a strong statement. But just since we're voting on this, there is a typo on that third paragraph, first line. It says stings, not strings, so that would have to just be a typo change, not an amendment.
Well, John brought that up before. Any further discussion? Okay, for clarification, I'm going to call for a vote of hands. You know, just so we understand. Okay. Brian's motion, we'll bring that to a vote, is to accept this position on the AirBow as written. All in favor of this is the official WTA statement. Please raise your hand. Okay, there isn't enough left for opposition to override that. I'm not going to count. Is that correct? All opposed? Yeah. Okay.
Welcome, members of the Wisconsin Traditional Archers Conference here in Stevens Point. Tony Carpenter and I have known each other for a lot of years. My wife and I are members of just about every conservation club that there is in the area. So I want to thank each and every one of you for your time and effort in participating for the betterment of your sport. Welcome to Stevens Point. I don't know how long the conference goes for, but if you have time, we've got an awful lot of things that are pretty exciting in Stevens Point. So I'd encourage you to visit our downtown. We've got a winery, we've got a distillery, we've got some great food choices. And of course, Tony can probably tell you a little bit about the outdoor activities. If you haven't had a chance, take a visit out to the Isaac Walton League land. We've got an archery program there that we do with youth. We've got 3D archery shoots. We've got a trap range. We've got a rifle and pistol range. We also have the Dewey Range, which is a county facility. No archery there, but we're still working on things that may enhance that. So I want to thank you again for coming here and choosing Stevens Point, and wish you the best in your conference. Thanks.
Which one do you like?
Red Mountain, did you? Oh, I don't live anywhere near there. No, I don't live up by there. No, I live eastern part of the state.
A lot of men has claimed him, but he returned. George Gallup. George Gallup, you seem to have misplaced your envelope. George Gallup, you need to include your envelope in order to find membership.
Just keep tearing. Just keep tearing.
I don't see a price right now, so I just wonder what they were asking for.
Look at that. Mike, how are you doing, Mike? We're just starting to relax and have it easy, have a nice relax. Ready to go?
Yep.
How old are you? You married? Attaboy, you gotta watch it. Gotta watch some like this on that piece. Yeah, probably say that.
Well, I thought he was taking video of us. Oh, he is.
Wipe it off. I've never watched it. I can do it. I got it.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Pretty good. You need a picture of this. There's only one other one going.
We forgot how it was.
Yeah, there was only a few counties open in that.
Yep.
Just put in more tickets. Just put in
keep getting in your way, don't I?
You know, theoretically, you could win.
Theoretically, you could win it all.
say I need a large from here to here and an XL from here down. All right, just hold it.
If I win, you'll get such a discount. And you'll tickle all night.
Hello, Harry. Either one of those two girls is nice.
I've got one that I don't have a guy at the stick. He had barracuda. And that was it. At Allison.
scholarships for students that are either juniors or seniors enrolled in the College of Natural Resources at the University of Wisconsin. This year we received 15 well-qualified applicants. The scholarship committee, George Hendrick, Rosmania, and myself, reviewed the applications and selected 3 very outstanding students. They are Christine Larson, who's a junior majoring in water resources and traditional archer who happens to shoot wire longbow. Trevor Martinson, a senior majoring in soil plant management and also a longtime bow hunter. Nicholas Gall, a junior majoring in wildlife ecology and management and also very active in archery and bow hunting. So thank you all, WTA, for doing these scholarships. At the membership meeting, the members of WTA authorized 5 $500 scholarships for next year, and I'm sure it will be well appreciated by the students at UWC at this point. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to say one thing about a little trivia about this banquet. I appreciate the work that went into it, and people, they really did a lot of work. And the first banquet, Howard Edwards, even almost from the beginning, wanted to have a banquet. And at our meeting, it was, I think, December 12th, 1995, we were having our meeting at Art Laha's up in Winchester, Wisconsin. And it was brought up at that meeting that we were going to have a banquet, and that was the year in '96. Then we had our first banquet meeting, so that's where it all started. But we've been giving out a Boner Award for people that do something odd every year, it seems. We almost had a three-peat this year, but I thought he should maybe wait another year before he gets. But anyway, it happened up at our hunt We get a guy that drove all the way up there at about 150 miles. He left his arrows at home. So when Mike Colrose come up here, I hope Mike is still here. Come on, Mike. You gotta walk away from the back of the room. Maybe you'll remember them 150 miles and bring his arrows. But I got one for you old timers to think about. Use your brain a little bit. This toothless termite walked into a bar. And he said, "Is the bartender there?" It'll give me a while to think about that. Gotta slow that down a little bit. Is the bartender here?
Along with it, just much more of a play type of person. So I was really surprised last year when I was talking to a WTA member at Dr. Madison, and he knows that George and I roomed together a lot of times at WTA or PBS. He said, "I wouldn't do anything with that SOB," and I cleaned it up with kids. I said, "Why?" He said, "He works around the corner waiting for you to screw up so we can give you a boner award." I said, "Someday George is going to do something." That next morning, I was in the bathroom shaving. And I thought, oh, the smell of coffee is so good. George is so thoughtful to make coffee for me. And all of a sudden I see the door open. He comes in looking like the kid with his hand caught in the candy dish. And he has this tray full of coffee. And he said, "I forgot to put the cup under it." So this year, George gets the Barista George Hendrick Senior Owner Award runner-up.